how is Nestle progressing in its pursuit to become a health and nutrition powerhouse? In recent years, CPG giants have scrambled to add more health and nutrition-oriented brands in their portfolio as consumers spend more in those categories. When Mark Schneider joined Nestle in 2016 as the CEO, he brought with him a pretty unique background from the healthcare industry. And it's this background and experience that really kind of changed the trajectory of Nestle long term. No longer would it be just another CPG portfolio that was anchored to slow growth food and beverage categories that in part was making the global population sick. Nestle instead would pivot to become more health and nutrition oriented and become a part of the solution. If you aren't too familiar, Nestle actually has a pretty substantial segment in their portfolio called Nestle Health Science, and it contains a number of brands within 3 categories: medical nutrition, consumer care, and RX nutrition, or just pharmaceuticals. This brand portfolio has grown substantially in the last 2 to 3 years, and it will continue growing once the Bountiful Company acquisition is finalized later this year. That $5.75 billion acquisition should supercharge Nestle Health Science on the consumer care category, but also be helpful to the other subcategories as well. It provides a complementary product and channel mix. It increases scale and synergies, especially within research and development and manufacturing capabilities. It should follow other acquisitions like Vital Proteins with an instant boost of growth from increased international expansion that Nestle has strong expertise in. In its latest earnings report, Nestle Health Science reported net sales of around $2.1 billion for the first 6 months in 2021. This was up 13.6% year over year organically and 24.3% year over year on a reported basis. And the difference is really stemming mostly from mergers and acquisitions activity that was impacting the comparables. Just kind of breaking down those numbers a little bit further, consumer care recorded double-digit growth. Vital Proteins and Persona more than doubled their sales. Garden of Life saw continued strength, particularly in e-commerce. Healthy aging products grew at a double-digit rate supported by Boost in the North American market, and medical nutrition reported mid-single-digit growth. Now, I want to provide both kind of the near-term approach of Nestle and kind of the long-term vision, but just kind of starting on the near-term approach. The COVID-19 effect definitely heightened the overall consumer interest and purchasing behavior around supplementation. And so far, there's been a strong stickiness behavior that seems to only strengthen the long-term secular trend tailwinds of the supplement category. After the Bountiful Company acquisition is complete, Nestle will become the largest supplement brand portfolio in the world and will be well positioned for the current off-the-rack product consumption. Nestle has significant brand name assets. They also have unmatched global distribution power, and they're incentivized to continuously feed resources to the vitamins, mineral, and supplement category because it perfectly aligns with Nestle's purpose of giving consumers a better nutritional situation. Nestle will utilize its market power and resources to create a exciting and compelling platform that will hopefully help them alleviate some of the problems in the supplement industry, being that it's extremely fragmented. As they master that platform in the US market, they will take and adopt that into all of their other global markets, either with a local brand portfolio or utilizing some of the brand portfolio that has multinational brand equity. And Nestle will use a sales channel strategy approach in which it leverages offline retailers and the omni-channel equivalencies to really make sure that the products that are everyday products that are consistently in consumers' baskets are available across all of those relevant retailers and kind of the online storefront equivalencies, and then any of the kind of online marketplaces. But with premium products, Nestle wants to make sure that this is going through a direct-to-consumer experience, and those tend to have like higher touch point and just an overall higher involvement from the consumer side to ensure a level of personalization is being provided to the consumer. And if we're just utilizing this supplement example that has been throughout this content, Nestle-owned Persona is one of those examples. You have to go through an extensive consultation before you get a supplement regimen that is tailor-made to you specifically. And then just piggybacking off of that last comment and rolling it into Nestle's long-term vision, personalization is going to be at the heart of Nestle Health Science's long-term vision. And the current state of personalized nutrition marketing and just kind of focus for brands is really towards like the high performance consumers, the first adopters that are active, that are quote unquote healthy and incrementally improve their lives. That's definitely going to be a long-term market as well, but Nestle's taking a different approach. They are leveraging what CEO Mark Schneider knows about just society as a whole, that far and away people are sick and they're going to need personalized care to get them through that. Part of that is the personalized nutrition aspect. In my mind, personalized nutrition will eventually become ubiquitous in the market and just be the standard for nutrition. While there's a ton of personalized nutrition startups that are trying to get to this N1 and trying to utilize a ton of extensive testing and make sure they're adding in all the elements to give you the most personalized experience possible, Nestle's taking a different approach. They're looking at this from a kind of width or breadth perspective over a depth perspective. They are trying to get as many people into their personalization engines as possible. That consumer data is going to be extremely useful to them in the future. As they know right now in the nascent market, the tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars that are being created in personalized nutrition right now really doesn't move the needle for a company like Nestle. So they can play a little bit more of a long game because they know they have the capabilities either through purchasing or just creating them internally to focus on depth when the time and the market justifies it. The fact is, Nestle has the upper hand right now. If you're looking at the personalized nutrition equation, Nestle will become the largest supplement brand portfolio in the world. They also own a substantial personalized nutrition asset like Persona. And with that Bountiful Company acquisition, they're going to have stronger research and development capabilities and manufacturing capabilities. Now, personalized nutrition is not just supplementation, it's also food and beverage. And Nestle is the largest food company in the world. And that fact will definitely help them from a price perspective, market power perspective. But they also acquired a company called Freshly, which is a personalized meal delivery company, which is not necessarily considered into the Nestle Health Science division, but I do believe will play a big role in the Nestle Health Science long-term vision. And then the last part of personalized care really comes down to personalization of medicine. And going back to Nestle Health Science having a medical nutrition and a pharmaceutical aspect to their business, they have been acquiring attractive assets in this personalized medicine area that honestly is showing their hand in terms of where they're going to go, at least initially, to get buy-in for them to prove out their concept. And Nestle will be focusing on health conditions that can be improved by nutrition-based methods. If Nestle can get results within the fringes, and by saying fringes, these are still very large total addressable markets, and Nestle could make a ton of money doing this, with that successful story, they can leverage it into just the general mainstream market. So I just want to end on some final thoughts. Despite all of the organic growth and the mergers and acquisitions activity, Nestle Health Science is still just around 4% of the overall revenue for Nestle as a whole. That being said, Nestle is embracing healthier living, and not just in today's standards, but also making sure that it's positioned itself for the future. Nestle has really become one of my favorite companies to analyze, as they seem to be playing 4D chess when the rest of the competitive landscape is still trying to figure out how to play tic-tac-toe. If you enjoyed this content, I would love to hear about it on the comment section of this content, or reach out to me on any of my social media accounts.